Another key prospect that the Philadelphia 76ers might have their eyes on has officially declared for the 2025 NBA draft, and that is freshman guard out of Baylor, VJ Edgecombe, who, to put it quite frankly, might be the best athlete in the 2025 NBA draft. Jump out of the gym, athletic ability, pops off the page every time he's on the screen. Is he the most well-rounded basketball player right now? No, but all the potential is there to be a potential all-star potential high-scoring guard. Kind of like Jalen Green coming out. You know, Jalen Green, some people love him, some people hate him. He's one of those kind of pick your poison type of players, whether you like him or not. But in terms of just raw talent, raw ability, it's all there. It's all on the page, and VJ Edgecombe is most mock drafts, most big boards you look at, the number 4 guy behind Ace Bailey and Dylan Harper from Rutgers, and obviously Cooper Flagg out of Duke. VJ Edgecombe right there as well, and he had a really nice, really impressive freshman season, and it was widely speculated from the day he stepped foot on campus at Baylor that he would be a one-and-done player, as we see here. John Rothstein tweeting this out just the other day as well, breaking the news that Edgecombe would be indeed leaving Baylor after just that one season. And it's, as we said, a move that was expected, but also when you're looking at the draft, everything's not an exact science, especially with the power of NIL these days. These programs can offer these players, in some cases, $4 or $5 million to come back and have another year. And who knows, maybe VJ Edgecombe goes and shoots the cover off the basketball next year, has multiple 25, 30-point games, and then finds himself in contention for the number 1 overall pick instead of the number 4 or 5 pick. If the Sixers fall to 6, he still might be there on the board, but this is going to be a guy that's probably a top 5 pick in this draft, so it is important to get to know him, have your eyes on him, and the potential that he could be suited up for the Philadelphia 76ers next year. Another player that kind of goes back to the conversation that we have, and I know a lot of you have been letting me hear it in the comments, no guards, we want bigs, we want forwards. Well, the thing is, when you're picking in the top 6, this is a guard, guard-dominated league. People are trying to get these guards at the top. These top prospects are potential all-star players, are guards in most cases. You have a couple of these forwards, Ace Bailey, Cooper Flagg, obviously, in the discussion. And you got a big like Derek Queen. You have a guy on the wing like Colin Murray-Boyles, or a forward like Colin Murray-Boyles as well. But a lot of these guys are guards. Jace Richardson, Trey Johnson, Dylan Harper. The list goes on and on for these potential guards. Igor Demin, Liam McNeely, VJ Edgecombe, who we're doing the video on now, Con Knipple. It's a primarily, I'd probably say out of the top 10, 7 of those guys are going to be guards, 1 or 2 guards, and then you throw your mix of forwards in there as well with Cooper Flagg, Ace Bailey, and then probably, a guy like Derek Queen. Malawacha is going to be in the conversation as well, but it's just important, I think, for all these key prospects that are declaring to get to know them. Any of these guys that have top 10 potential, it's important for Sixers fans to become aware of these guys and kind of, associate yourself with their name and with their game. When you look at VJ Edgecombe in his freshman year at Baylor, as we said, kind of that prototypical size at the guard spot, 6'5", 180, jump out of the gym ability, 15 points per game, rebounded pretty well, 5.6, and 3.2 assists per game from 3. As we said too, not the most well-rounded kind of scorer, basketball player right now, needs to definitely improve that 3-point shot, 34%, but he's got a skill set that you can't teach, or just an ability that you can't teach, and that's just raw natural talent, raw natural ability. You hope that he kind of is able to come into the league and round out his game, really develop and find a way into all-star type of category. When you're drafted in the top 4, top 5, those are the expectations. One of the main kind of guys that we've seen him compared to, Victor Oladipo, and Victor Oladipo, it's a shame the way his career kind of unfolded towards the end with all those knee injuries, but he's a guy that had a bit of a slow start to his career, but he's very similar to Edgecombe in the terms of coming out of college, out of Indiana. He wasn't the most well-rounded basketball player, but he was an athlete. He had talent, he had ability, and he had a work ethic. And it sounds like VJ Edgecombe has that work ethic as well, that ability, that want, that drive to be a great player. And when you have this 6'5" frame, the ability to jump out of the gym, talent, showed the shot-making ability as well in spurts, kind of a microwave scorer, teams are going to take a risk. Teams are going to want to take a chance on a player like that, a player of that caliber. Whether you like it or not for the Philadelphia 76ers, he's going to be a player that is in consideration to be drafted. And I know a lot of people don't want another guard, but if the best player on the board is a guard and the Sixers don't feel one of these forwards are worthy of that 4, 5, 6 pick that they could potentially get outside of the big three that primarily everyone has with Flagg, Harper, and Bailey, these guys are going to be considered, whether you like it or not. You don't have to come back and yell at me. I know I always say let me know in the comments, but I'm not making the selection at the end of the day. I'm just telling you what's likely going on in the Sixers front office and the discussions. You look at past drafts as well. Like, did the Sixers need Jared McCain last year? No. Like, a lot of people wanted them to get Dalton Knecht. Felt like Dalton Knecht was a better fit on the Sixers roster, more of an off-ball player. Jared McCain comes in and he lights the world on fire and becomes a fan favorite and probably the brightest spot of the 76ers season last year. So I don't think the Sixers are in any position to write off any player here in this top 10 position or not. And VJ Edgecombe's a guy that is certainly going to be in that discussion. Was one of the top players in the Big 12 this year, one of the top leagues in the country. And when you kind of look, big picture at the big board, we go over to ESPN's on this one. He slots in at number 4 right here, the number 4 player on the board. You're telling me if the Sixers are sitting there at 4 and you have the chance to get a Victor Oladipo type guy to pair him with Jared McCain, Tyrese Maxey, and Quentin Grimes, they're not going to at least sit there and consider it? No, they definitely are. But there's other guys here in the consideration as well. That's why we're doing these videos. That's why we're making all these videos, to inform you, to teach you about some of these top players, top prospects that the Sixers could potentially have in mind. VJ Edgecombe, very similar, I think, to like a Trey Johnson, where they're going to be playing a similar position, but Edgecombe more of a raw talent at this point, more of a potential guy. Trey Johnson, more of a guy that could potentially help the Sixers win as soon as next year and be one of the leading scorers on that team. Then you go to a guy like Kasparas Giacochonis, a jack-of-all-trades type of player, might take a little bit more developing, getting ready for the NBA speed, but long-term could be, the primary kind of playmaker on this team. The list goes on and on. We've done videos on all these guys, or most of these guys, and we're going to continue to do videos. But the main kind of discussion that I wanted to bring up in this video, it's the Sixers are going to be looking at guards. There's not 8 wings that the Sixers could look at. You look at Ace Bailey, you look at Cooper Flagg, and then it's kind of from there, if you're in those top 6, and as we know, the Sixers need to have the lottery balls go between pick 1 and pick 6. If it falls below pick 6, so if it goes to 7 or below, it will fall to the Oklahoma City Thunder. So you're looking at 6 guys potentially for the Sixers. You have 6 names that they're probably going to have out in front of them, and they're going to talk about those 6 players and who they would want in wherever they fall, if they're lucky enough to get one of those picks. But guards are going to be in consideration. Like, you can't just be like, oh, they need a center, let's go get Malwatch at 6 when he's number 12 on their board. Or let's get another front court piece, let's go get Colin Mary Boyles when he's number 12 on their board and they're picking number 3. That's not how it's going to work, just to keep it plain and simple. The Sixers are going to be looking at guards, and if they feel like they could get a potential all-star guy in that spot, they're going to take him. Could they get the best of both worlds and get an Ace Bailey at number 2 overall, and it fits a need, and you get a really talented player? Better case scenario, you get the number 1 overall pick, you get the best player in the draft, fits a need in Cooper Flagg on his wing spot. That is the ideal scenario. That's the ideal world. But that's not how it's going to get drawn up, most likely. The Sixers are probably not going to get the number 1 pick. The lottery odds might have the chance at that, but there's a lot better chance that they don't get the number 1 pick. And they get a different selection, and you could be looking at another potential guard, maybe letting Quentin Grimes walk as well and looking to use that money elsewhere. But that remains the conversation. Do you want one of the more polished products, I think, in like a Trey Johnson, or do you want to take a risk on a guy like VJ Edgecombe and his potential going forward and kind of live with some of the sacrifices? Giacochonis, as we talked about in his video, I think Jace Richardson's a guy probably more polished and ready to come in and compete at the end of the day, from day one. But it just goes back to the main picture thought of guards are going to be considered, and Sixers fans have to realize that. Whether you like it or not, they're going to be in consideration. And that just remains the topic of discussion. And we're going to break down all these prospects. We're going to talk about all these prospects thoroughly as we go forward and we continue to do. But just get that through your head and kind of consider that right now, that might be the direction the Sixers go in. And it's not that gifted of a forward bunch, a front court bunch compared to some of these guards. You got some all-star potential guards in the makings. But let me know what you guys think about VJ Edgecombe in the comments below. Let me know what you guys think about kind of my overall thought process, and that there could still be a guard selected on the Sixers team, and they're not just going to draft for fit, but I do think best player available. As always, everyone, thank you for listening. Please drop a like, drop a subscribe, and we'll talk to you next time here on Sixers Digest.